some might call BS on this one, but I assure you that it is, in fact, a true story. Anybody that knows me will attest to the fact that I have a wall full of backpacks in my man cave. In 2016, I decided I needed another one. I was looking at 3 major brands, and I settled on one. It worked out well for about a year and a half. But it wasn't until my buddy Jake killed a cow elk off the end of this ridge. Now, it shouldn't have been a tough hike out, but that pack crushed me. It just did not perform well with that kind of weight in it. Now, in full disclosure, that winter is when I met Aron. And Aron got me pointed in the direction of Kifaru. Rest of that winter and into the spring, I did a bunch of training hikes in preparation for an 8-day trip into the Frank Church. That pack performed flawlessly. And then that following fall, between myself and friends, I ended up packing out 5 animals. Well, the next few years, I've used that pack a bunch. And now I think I can give you a pretty fair assessment on it. That pack is going to be heavier than any pack you've ever owned. But when you need it, it's not going to let you down. Today, I use the 44 mag on elk hunts and overnight trips. And then most of the time, I'm using the Striker pack. That Striker pack is so versatile, it'll blow your mind. So, if you're looking for a pack, don't do what I did. Go right to the top. Kifaru International. Check them out on their website. You won't be disappointed. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this month's episode of the Empty Quiver with Stickbow Chronicles, brought to you by Black Widow Bows. Hey, what's going on, Blake?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, not much, man. Spring just snuck up on me. I mean, this is incredible. It's freaking been like 60, 65 degrees. I'm scrambling to get stuff ready for bear season. What happened? What'd I do?
I don't know. It's been crazy here, too. I've usually got quite the pile of pigs piled up at this point, and I've shot one, so just been busy.
You know, I did. There's a few, like we got to take care of the family first, right? You got to be family first. And I had to make a sacrifice this weekend and go on a 3D shoot. Might sound crazy to some people, but my wife and son, they love going up to Libby, Montana. So my wife, like, hey, we got to go. And at the last minute, she pulled the plug. She couldn't get time off there. And so she didn't go. And me and the boy went up and hung out with the cool people up in Montana, up in Libby, Montana. It's a great shoot. So yeah, it was a good time, man.
Did you post any stories while you were up there?
No, dude, like,
just kind of unplugged.
No, you get like, we're 30 minutes from service up there.
Are you?
Oh yeah. I didn't, and then I go through the pictures because I did take pictures, figuring on posting some, but I always look at them going, that picture sucks. That picture sucks. But I was just going to say, honestly, it's kind of refreshing sometimes to just go and enjoy it and stay off your damn phone. Oh yeah. That's a lot of Idaho and Montana. When you want the phone, you're just not going to get it. But what was cool was, I mentioned in the podcast a little bit, but there was 130, 140 people, or shooters. So I don't know, maybe 150, 160 people. I was walking through, and I see this guy pass me, and he's got a footed shaft shirt on. I was like, oh, hell, nice shirt, buddy.
Cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So he's been to their shop. He's from Minnesota, and so we shot the breeze a little bit. But it kind of did crack me up. I guess I mentioned the podcast, 130 shooters, and there's 4 very well-known bowyers there. It's pretty great group of people.
Did you have sign any autographs or?
No, but I did have some people like, oh, you're from the Stickbow Chronicles. You're the Stickbow Chronicles guy. So that was cool. And I'll tell you, the one person that I have reached out to 6 months ago, it's hard reaching out to people out of the blue. Like, just like, hey, do you want to be on this podcast? Because this world is full of weirdos, right? Well, there was a young lady there who I'd seen on Instagram, and I kind of like, she's packing in the backcountry. She's killing stuff with a stick bow. So, like, hey, I was like, hey, would you like to come on the podcast? And, understandably, she's like, huh? So she's done a lot of cool stuff. Well, she come walking through the camp. She's like, hey, wait a minute, you're Rob. So I ended up visiting with her, and I am going to get her on the podcast because she's packing in the Bob Marshall. She's killing stuff with a stick bow, grew up, hunting with a stick bow and just hunting in general. So we had a great talk, 10, 15 minutes, and I'm going to message her, and I think we can get her on. She's a cool cat.
Cool.
Yeah. So
did you place in the top 120 or so?
Yeah. I was edged out of 138 just by a point. No. So because of the coronavirus, which is a little weird to me because in my world here, like, we don't even talk about coronavirus anymore. It's a non-issue. I go 2 hours east there, and they couldn't do some of their greatest events was a water bag shoot, and they couldn't do it because no big groups, right? And no vendor or no food vendors and no trophies. So it was a little bit different in that aspect. But, honestly, when you're skipping arrows off of plywood to try to get it into a bear, or you're shooting as many arrows you can in 30 seconds to shoot gophers, it's not like you're straight, like we talk on this podcast a little bit. It's a lot of the 3D shoots that you're out west are not set up for the competition you guys talk about.
Yeah, no, it's certainly different. They've all got a place. It's all fun. Like that American Bowman course it's a really, really fun course. A lot of pretty severe ups and downs. Shooting on a side hill is probably one thing that I kind of underestimated, I guess. It's just shooting with your toes pointing up or down is pretty tough, honestly, if you've never done it before. And especially out there at 30, 35 yards, but it's good hunting practice. You know what I mean? It's,
oh yeah. This shoot, what we talked about on the podcast about the clear lanes and stuff, and that's great. And maybe sometimes a little excessive, at a shoot like this, but, shooting with the vitals are just about cut in half with a stump, right? Or, you got a tree, you got to shoot between two trees and stuff like that. It's legit. It's a challenging course. There's 3 courses. I shot really good on 2 of the 3. I really might have something to do with a 13-year-old you're about ready to strangle. I shot pretty rough on the 3rd one. I won't mention any names on the 13-year-old. Excuse me, it's 14. He's 14 now. The kid's big. Holy smokes!
It's my oldest daughter's 7th birthday today.
Oh, so, right on.
Yeah, we celebrated her birthday today.
What'd she get? What was the cool thing she got?
All kinds of stuff. She's big into the LOL dolls right now, which I'm not real up on, but what she likes. So
right on. Good for you.
No, I'm hoping to get out and do a little 3D shooting here soon. I'm working on trying to get my own course set up, just like a little 10, 15 target course, just outside of town, trying to pull together a few buddies and get some targets gathered up. Just because it's really hard for me to get away and go to some of these 3D shoots sometimes. And if I've got to drive an hour and a half and I'm on call, when I'm on call, I've got to be, within 30, 45 minutes of the yard typically. So if I get a little 3D course set up right out here outside of town, that'd be pretty handy. Be able to go out there all the time. And if I get a phone call for work, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, I feel bad sometimes because there's some great people in the community. Like you go up to Libby up there and just salt of the earth people, and have a blast hanging out with them. And I get people like, hey, you going to go to the rock shoot, or hey, you going to go to this shoot or that shoot. And man, until July 1st, there's something to be hunted in Idaho. Okay.
Right.
And then I got to cut firewood, and then we started hunting August 30th. So yeah, it used to be a priority, man. I used to hit them all, but
I mean, and we touched on it in this podcast with Aaron. It's just, as much as I would love to go on the competition trail and shoot 3Ds, because I really, really do enjoy it. And, I feel like if I devoted a significant amount of time to it, I feel like I could at least do halfway decent. And, but it's just so hard. I mean, it's like, you talk to people who used to love to bass fish, used to love to do this and that, and just kind of hit all of the outdoor activities all year round. Once you've got a family, you've got to kind of pick and choose.
Yeah. And that's important.
What you want to do. And it is.
Yeah.
It's very important, and something probably we don't talk about enough. But like you said, we get hit up all the time to go to this shoot or that shoot or this or that. And it's just like, you feel bad, and as much as I'd love to go to some of it, it's just tough to get away. Cody's bugged the hell out of me for 2 years to set up a barebow rig and go to some of these shoots. And as much as I would love to, I just don't have the time to devote to it to not get my ass kicked. So, and I don't like getting my ass kicked.
You sure I can't edit this? Can I edit this podcast? We talk about
you can.
Can I?
If you want.
We talk about some good stuff at the end.
It's pretty funny.
You don't look like you're laughing right now. The one other shoot that I'm going to go to that I'm really looking forward to, and my wife has a great time, a kid has a great time. It's a good family shoot, is the Western States Rendezvous, and it's going to be in Lolo, Montana, at the Lolo Hot Springs Resort this year. Google it. The Bridger Bowmen are ramrodding it, and they are a young crowd from Eastern Montana. Looking forward to looking those guys in the eyes and shaking their hands. They've done a great job, and I think it's going to be one for the books. And that is, let me look at the date there. That is Memorial Day weekend, May 28th and 29th and 30th. So look it up.
Yeah, and then the only one I think I'm going to be able to make is that Best the Best shoot up there in Colorado with Aaron and Luke of Gladiators Unleashed that we did last year's compound guy, trad guy on a team. And man, it was a ball last year. So I think that's June 26th. They're supposed to be posting up some kind of registration for it or whatever. But if you're in Colorado or have interest, get you a compound partner and you can come up and shoot if you can get registered. So that'll be fun.
How many target course is that?
I think it's 20. But I think they're doing 2 20 target rounds. So I think everybody gets to shoot in the first 20 target round. I could be wrong about this, so don't quote me. And then I think they're taking the top 10 teams, and the top 10 teams will shoot another 20 target round.
And is that set up like we were talking, like all the shoots I go to are like very realistic, brushed in shots. Is that more of a?
It's not super brushy, but it's longer shot. We can use a rangefinder on that.
Oh, really?
So yes,
okay,
but it's I would say it's, and the reason for that is if I couldn't use a rangefinder and it's got a lot of shots further than 30 yards, I'm probably not going to do very well. Aaron would beat the brakes off of me. With the rangefinder, it evens the playing field a little bit, but over a lot of shots over 30 yards, between 30 and 35 yards. I would say average probably 27 to 28, something like that. But of course,
he's going to beat the brakes off you anyways, right?
Oh yeah, he will.
Yeah,
I'm setting the bar low.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That way you'll never let anybody down. That's been my motto for decades.
Oh yeah, we were pretty close last year coming into the last 3 targets.
You mean you were standing next to him?
Yes. No, I think we were 4 points apart or 6 points apart coming into the last 3 targets, and somebody asked Cody, who's keeping all our scorecard. I didn't know what my score was, and didn't know what Aaron's score was. We were just kind of shooting and having fun or whatever. Well, somebody asked him what the scores were, and he started sounding them off, and as soon as I heard my score, I just
Fell
went in
apart.
the dumpster the last 3 targets.
Oh, shit.
I think he ended up beating me by, 16 points. I think he shot 182 and I shot 166. But yeah, no, the guy can flat out freaking shoot. There ain't no doubt.
Yep. I agree. I've seen it. What else you got?
I think that's it.
Right on. Let's roll out of here, eh?
All right.
Hey, big
Get outta
thanks.
here.
Yeah, big thanks to the sponsors, Kifaru International, The Footed Shaft, Selway Archery, Backwoods Grind Coffee Company, and, of course, Black Widow Bows. Yeah, keep those messages coming. Good luck. Be looking out for the iHunt Close Trad Kill 2021. And, hey, share the podcast with your friends. Give us a 5-star review and keep on hammering. I finally said it.
Hashtag
keep hammering. All right, buddy.
All right. See ya.
All right. Roger out. Hey, what's going on, Aaron?
Not too much. Just chilling out, getting ready for bed. No, I'm just kidding. I don't go to bed that early.
You doing some biking now, I see.
Yeah, trying to do lower impact cardio, especially with as much as we head out on the weekend. So, yeah, I've been shooting while the sun's been out and doing a lot of cardio while I can because it's supposed to snow again tomorrow.
Shitting me.
Just doing that to try and save your knees and stuff.
I don't have any knee issues. It was just Matt Chan. He's a guy I've had on my podcast. He kind of, he just said, you probably never need to do backpack cardio during the week again. You might as well just prep for saving yourself, start riding a bike and, hit the ground every weekend. And, that's plenty of training and try to do low impact cardio, but higher intensity on the bike, which that certainly is happening. The trip up my mountain sucks. So anyway, yeah, I've been doing that and then went and shot. I did that bow review. I finally finished that thing, which has been going on now for 3 years. So finished that up and then started getting everything dialed in for my hunting bows while the sun's been out the last 3 days. So
so was it on both styles or makers or both?
I did one on ILF risers and one on the limbs, and then I did one on custom bows. And I highlighted, good, obviously bow makers that I know make a good bow, and then the downsides of each one, or if there is downsides, obviously. And then kind of had a 50 style recurve slot just because I rated Tolkien as the most underrated bow manufacturer on the market. So there's kind of different categories, and I talked about different pros and cons when I say that, meaning not just like, oh, this one has more adjustment, but also where you're getting them, how long they take, to get, like some of the ups and downsides as far as that goes. So, and then it took a long time because I was shooting 300 round scores as well as 3D scores, trying to keep everything even and comparable. As far as for me, obviously, the one I shoot the best scores on, which that just takes a lot of time, and you just can't do something like that quick, although people have been hounding me forever about it. And, if you're a major bow manufacturer, trad or compound or whatever, and I mean, you're making a good bow, generally speaking. It's more of a matter of picking apart some of the, like I said, pros and cons, highlights for people to think about if they're getting ready to order, a newer bow or a custom bow or whatever. So.
It's funny you mentioned the Tolkies. I just got back from Libby, Montana. They have a traditional shoot over there first weekend of May every year. And it was kind of a lower turnout. It's a great shoot. That Libby Club has been doing it for over 20 years. And great location, always a great course, great group of guys, gals. But, yeah, Dan and Jared were there. And it's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to Jared. And he's like, yeah, we're so busy. And I was like, well, that's what happens when you start getting mentioned on podcasts and social media. It was cool seeing them. And, I think they had everybody's going to laugh at this, but, this is kind of a typical turnout for a traditional shoot out west. It's 136 shooters, I think. But, yeah. When you think of 136 shooters and you got people like Dave Windar from Schaefer Silvertips and Dan and Jared from Tolkies. Colton Hurst from Hurst Bows, Neil Jacobson. I'm probably leaving some out, but that's a pretty high percentage of well-known bowyers right there at the shoot. So it was a great time. Yeah, a lot of good folks.
I actually just got off the phone with Dwayne Martin. For everybody listening in, the tryouts are in 2022 for heading over to Italy for the whatever it is, Olympic 3D championships or however the hell it works. But he brought up something that I've brought up since I started shooting a stick bow. Is compound shooters don't need donations because they're bow manufacturers and sight and release manufacturers and arrows, they cover it to go shoot, where with stick bow guys you got to kind of poor man it, and you're missing a couple weeks of work between the shoot and obviously trying out. And where that comes from is if you're at the tip of the spear for trad, you're at the tip of the spear for compound. Obviously the financial portion of that, meaning the return of investment a company's going to get out of paying someone shooting a compound or paying someone shooting a stick bow. I think that's changing, as time goes on and traditional archery is growing. And when I say that, I don't mean like people being paid off to be influencers, but I mean to be able to afford, where a bow company might benefit and be able to justify to send a guy to Italy to not get their ass kicked by the Koreans. It seems to be changing somewhat for the good. At least I hope it is. And the more people, the more money a bow manufacturer or arrow or whatever is making because of traditional archery, the more they are willing to probably invest in that.
Well, I remember you saying that years ago, 4 or 5 years. I emphasize it, but in the spectrum we're working on here, 4 or 5 years ago, you mentioned something about that. It's like there's no money in traditional archery, but when you see companies, big manufacturers, all of a sudden, helping us out with that's a great example. Helping us out with the eye hunt close trad kill thing. When you see big manufacturers get involved, that's because the sport has started to really, get on the radar of these companies. So, and you've had a lot to do with that. There's no BS there.
Yeah, I just hopefully it just keeps going. I think, if we can get, which is going to be a miracle, everybody semi getting along and rowing the same direction up the river. It'll certainly, help. The good thing is now, when I say good thing, but I mean the nice thing to see is, locally, that, people that would look at me like I had a horn coming out of my ass a few years ago. If I had a stick bow now, it's becoming the cooler thing to do, and they're interested in trying it. And when I say cooler thing to do, meaning it's been proven now by more than a few people you can be successful at it. You're not going to be a vegan if you pick up a stick bow, right? I mean, you can kill stuff, not that, and that you don't. Nothing wrong with fedoras, but you don't have to do the plaid fedora, swing shooting thing. You can you can wear whatever you want, right? You're not going to get made fun of, maybe like you used to for rolling out in Sitka or Cryptic or something, rather than wearing flannel or whatever. You get the analogy there. So it's nice to see that's kind of progressing, probably in a way some people don't like, but they can suck it. It's good to see the sport grow.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of the people that I've talked to, like they almost say that traditional archery is getting cool, as in like it's a bad thing, and I can't really understand that rhetoric. I guess is well, it's the cool thing to do now. So, and but I don't understand why that would be a bad thing. If it's cool to shoot a stick bow, that's what we want in the end of the game, I would think.
How many people are saying that are sub 35 years old?
One that I can think of.
No, wait a minute. So you're saying that it's bad that it's become a cool thing, Blake? I'm tracking.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Some people look down their nose and like, well, I was doing it before it was cool. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, that's cool and everything, but like now that it is cool, we've got a lot more people doing it, and I don't understand how that's a bad thing or something to look down your nose at, I guess.
Who is it, sub 35, that was saying that?
Here we go.
Was it Alpha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
No, and I mean, and he's a good guy. He's just the way that, it's just funny the way certain people look at things. It doesn't sometimes make a whole lot of sense. And, obviously that good to have varying viewpoints on a bunch of stuff, but that viewpoint's never made a whole lot of sense to me.
No, and I don't see anything wrong with saying Mike Alpha. I mean, he's the one that said it, and it's his opinion, and we don't all have to agree. You know what I mean? Like, I have no animosity in that whatsoever. I mean, that's their deal. And, if it becomes uncool for a few people and they drop out of it because it's the cool thing to do, but it brings a ton more people into it, I mean, it's a net victory. Yeah, it's good to see it's growing. I mean, like I said, even if it's not full time, and I think everybody's kind of, for the most part, rowing the boat in the right direction at the same time. And in the tournament stuff, which I know we're going to talk about that some on this, podcast, it's good to see, like, we're doing the big trad compound shootout thing where, a compound guy's partnered with a trad guy, and, there's a lot of crap talking, but it's all
good stuff.
Fun and games.
Yeah,
but he's cool with it. It's good. Yeah. It's nice to see that. And we've had an overwhelming response, from that to a point that I think legitimately you could have a great Western shootout, or a triple crown where, you could have one in Idaho, Colorado, and I don't know, whatever, Utah, Arizona, I don't know. There'd be validity, to it more now than before, where you'd probably have trouble finding enough Stickbow guys to match up with compound guys, where now it certainly seems to be kind of swinging the other direction. So it's good to see.
Boy, that's a great idea. I mean, I know you guys have been doing it Best of the West. Where do you do it? You do it in Colorado?
Yeah, we do it. It actually just started because I kept kicking Luke's ass with my Stickbow while he was shooting a compound. It kind of went from there.
But yeah, now that you just mentioned that, doing a few different events, that's a hell of an idea. Might have just been birthed right here.
I mean, that's really what keeps the fire burning. You know what I mean? If you had a roving trophy for, the people who were winning it, and obviously COVID kind of threw a hitch in the giddy up in tournaments. But my big debate right now is, do I pull my head out of my butt, put a tournament bow together, and go to some of these national shoots, or say piss on it and just keep hunting and not worry about it? Because I'm certainly a lot more focused on hunting than I am tournaments. I just go to those every now and then. But you kind of have to, someone has to sacrifice a little bit if you're going to be truly an international or national tournament archer and be competitive. You're probably going to have to give up, at the very least, some practice with the hunting bow, and have a different setup, because the hunting bow is going to be set up different than the tournament bow, or to be competitive, it probably will be. So
mine would be, I tried with my hunting bow, and I mean, it's not saying it's impossible, but you're behind the eight ball from the start, taking a hunting bow. I'm sure Cody's probably bugged the hell out of you. He's bugged the hell out of me to try and get me to set up a tournament bow. But it's, like you said, it's just, you're either going to devote a ton of time to hunting, or you're going to devote a ton of time to 3D archery. And to be good at either one of them, you kind of almost got to pick one, unless you just got unlimited time off, because it's, if you want to be really, really good at tournament archery, your whole spring and summer and everything kind of has to revolve around that. So makes it tough. And, time off's another thing. I'd love to go to some of these big shoots regularly and set up a tournament bow, but I just don't have the time, and I don't like getting my ass beat. So I don't like half-assing stuff.
No. No. Why do you need a tournament bow? You sent me a stunning video yesterday of a partially All right, I won't say it, but it was a hell of a shot. That's all I got to say.
Shot of my life.
All right. Well, I'm glad you saw to it to share it with me.
Well, and I'm not saying that it couldn't be done with a hunting rig, but I mean, you're going to have to be, I mean, on top of and my thing is I suck at judging yardage. So with a tournament rig, I'd shoot, 45-pound limbs and, a 350 grain arrow, and it wouldn't really matter if I was off 3 or 4 yards with my hunting bow. It's not that big a deal. I carry a rangefinder when I hunt, so it's not a huge deal to me, but I don't know. That's something I'd like to do, but
yardage.
Do what?
I said, I fortunately can judge yardage. That's a big, hell, that's as important as shooting, right? I mean, you can't shoot the best in the world, but if you can't hit the target because you can't guess how far it is, that's a big portion of it.
No, that's what screwed me. I think the first day at Trad Worlds last year, I think I shot an 8.3 average per target, and I had 3 zeros. And all 3 zeros, I got yarded like a mofo. And, those 3 targets kept me from shooting a pretty insane score. But just, I mean, it's something I used to be fairly good at back in the day because, we didn't really carry rangefinders. But once you get out of practice and, I'll admit it, I'm kind of a rangefinder baby now. Look like a rock star with a rangefinder. You take it away and start sucking my thumb.
Well, at least you're honest.
I am. I mean, I'm not very good at it. And inside 20 yards, it's not that big a deal. 25 yards, you start getting out close to 30. If you're a couple, 3 yards off one way or the other with a hunting bow, you're pretty well screwed.
Yeah. I shot, I set up a tournament bow tonight. Actually, when I say a tournament bow, I set up some PS23's fat shafts and was seeing how I would shoot with those in group. And then I shot the 3D course, the mountain course that's open yesterday and today. And I was shooting so good, I was afraid something was going to go wrong. Like everything was working out, good. So right now the tournament thing's popping off in my mind, and then give it a couple weeks, I'll shoot bad and be like, yeah, that tournament idea sucks. I'm not going to do that. So,
going back to, you mentioned the newer crowd coming in and making it cool and stuff. The Western States Rendezvous is in Lolo, Montana this year, and it's going to be super interesting because that has always been a gathering. I mean, it's old school, traditional guys for sure, but Bridger Bowman over in Montana are the ones that are kind of ramrodding it, and that is a young group, a young club, very energetic. So you have that new crowd is actually putting on the Western States Rendezvous. So I'm looking forward to going, and I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a big mix of the two crowds, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I sounds like it. I know they got a hold of us recently about sponsoring it, which we probably should do. I don't know if I'll make it to any of those those shoots, and that's something like part of the bow review I did talked about was, this is hunting bows that I occasionally shoot tournaments with. Obviously, guys call me with tournament bow questions, and I'm like, hey, I'm not your guy. Like usually those bows are 10 feet tall, whatever, 27-inch, 24-inch risers, whatever. I mean, I obviously cater more towards the hunting stuff and making that as efficient as possible. But like the bow I set up today, it was like 47 pounds, shooting like 204 for speed. And, I got to shoot upright because I have a fixed crawl with it, where I hunch over, obviously, or can't with my hunting bow. And those are all things that can become a problem. You go with what your muscle memory, whatever you want to call it, and have an animal in front of you, and you're not canting like you normally do because you've been focusing on tournaments. Those are all the kind of things that are kind of an issue, I guess, with going back and forth on bows.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always been my thing, and why I've just kind of stuck with my hunting bow on the 3D stuff is because I guess I don't get enough time to devote to 2 different bows. I just need to devote all of the time that I get to one of them, and switching back and forth just screws with me. And Go ahead, Rob.
No, let me ask you something. So both you guys, like you're talking tournament. When I picture tournament archery, I'm picturing like field archery. Now, is there that much of advantage shooting that type of bow? I mean, like the shoot I just go to, you're shooting down, down off of like really steep hills and up, and you're shooting through brush, and I mean it's a challenge.
Yeah, but what you're talking about isn't a national shoot. A national
Yeah.
shoot, there's parameters they have to follow for 3Ds. As far as brush being in the way and distances and everything else. So, that there obviously is field archery, but what I'm talking about is 3D tournaments where you have to judge and shoot,
Okay.
and the length of the bow isn't really going to be an issue with that. In comparison to like there's local shoots where they set crap up in the way that makes no sense because the first guy that walks to get his arrows knocks the branches out of the way. So the first poor bastard that shot at it probably shot a 0. And then the guys behind, and that's why there's rules there to keep it even for everyone. But yeah, I'm talking about a national 3D shoot, whether it be Trad Worlds or NASAs or IBOs or whatever, where, there's parameters and rules where you're not going to get, crap in the way, for example, that would potentially, when that branch goes away, it's not really fair anymore. So they have to keep an open lane.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I would just, if I was going to go back to Trad Worlds, I would probably get like a WF-25 or something like that with some long hookahs, like 45 pounds. Shoot probably a 350 grain arrow or so out of it and shoot a 25-yard fixed crawl. So at 20 yards, I'm holding bottom of 10. At 30 yards, I'm holding top of the 10. And it's kind of bulletproof as far as range estimation errors. And you're always kind of holding on the target. I don't know that I would be a big fan of string walking just because it changes. There's too much variability there for me anyways, compared to what I'm used to. I'd like to have the arrow in the same spot when I anchor every time. But like a 25-yard fixed crawl for a lot of that stuff at Trad Worlds would be pretty money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talk about that some in that review I did, just because, different bows, bow setups and split finger 300, instinctual, like I told Tom Klum, which I'm sure I'll get flack for this, but after that team shoot last year, I was like, Tom, you're never going to beat me shooting instinctual. You're just not. And maybe there's somebody out there that can shoot instinctual really well at distances, but inside of 15 to 20, I would take that back. I've no doubt Tom has the capabilities of doing it, but we shoot from a stake, where the compound and trad guys shoot at the same stake. So 27 to 35 is your average, yardage. And so, today I posted a few films and, I gap shoot. So I know my drops and I memorize them like literally like the back of my hand. So I know if I walk up to, I don't know, whatever, pick it, bedded sheep at 34 yards, that I am putting the top of my point at the bottom of the 8 ring to go in there. Well, when everything's going right, that's like a softball for me at that 34.5 range. On a bet anyway, I can hit that. Where instinctual, I mean, you can do it sometimes, but you can't do it on command. Or I haven't met anybody that can all the time. And I'm sure there's guys out there, but you're just at a disadvantage if you're not gap shooting or have a fixed crawl. And, when you start really lengthening the distances out, like I hit that buffalo at 58 today, and it wasn't a poke and a hope. I didn't think I was going to hit a 12 ring, but I know my drops, so I knew how far to aim above it, and I had something to aim at. So I can shoot a paper plate at 50 probably 3 out of 5 times, and then there's going to be a couple I probably screw up and they'll be in the paunch or something, I don't know, but you can only do that gap shooting.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'd agree for sure.
No, I've shot with a couple really good instinctive shooters that I can think of off the top of my head, but inside 25, it's kind of a coin flip on which one of us would beat the other ones. But, I would kind of agree with what you said, that once you get out to that 30, 40-yard range, it's pretty hard to compete with somebody who's got a 35 or 40-yard point on. Just kind of the way it goes.
Yeah. Rob, if you were to go back in time, would you change anything, or would you still grip it and rip it?
No, I would change. Like I use this guy, Andrew Eller, here in town. Met him a few years ago at Train to Hunt. He was shooting a compound, and I run into him this year, and he is just smoking it. And in 1 year, using all the tools we have today, of all the coaching and stuff. When I try to change something, I can't commit to it. So no, I would definitely go a different route, but I'm happy where I'm at. I am what I am.
Yeah, I talked to Randy Cooling about that today, about how quick younger guys are just crushing it. There's a lot of info out there, and there's a lot of different people in different states that can help them out. You know what I mean? It's because traditional archery is growing. So you've got guys that can point you in the right direction, and videos, and obviously podcasts and everything else. And then one thing too that people don't think about is when you're in the slumps, misery loves company. It's nice to hear other people go through slumps too, and you can kind of motivate each other. And, I try to post misses. A lot of people don't, for whatever reason, do that. And I try to post misses of my own. Like I think I posted, I missed a javelina the other week. Nope, we're not all $100 bills. Whoever's posting online and never shows a miss is a liar. And with social media, people say that all the time. That's to highlight the best points of most people's lives. So I get it. If you post a miss, it looks bad, but I don't know. I miss crap, and I don't mind posting it, and if it gives another guy a little bit of stress relief to be like, man, Snyder misses too, or Blake or Rob, they miss, and gives them a little motivation, because we're not omitting, I guess you could say. I'm all about that. I mean, I definitely have had times where I'm like struggling a little bit, whether it's my arrow flight or tuning, and it's nice to talk to you guys or Randy or Tyler or whoever, and or Tom, the Clums, and just chit chat back and forth about what may be going wrong and perfecting what you're doing. Obviously, I probably take it a little bit overboard, but I like doing that, and it seems to be some people catch on, have that same thought process or mentality, and then you just see them catapult forward. I mean, in a year where I'm like, good Lord, in a year, this guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the guy I'm talking about. I got a cool picture of a nice black eagle rampage sticking in a fir tree. I'll have to post that. It might have happened this weekend. Get some good penetration, though.
Oh, that's funny. My tournament bow, I shot a Robin Hood today, and I didn't have enough penetration for the arrow to stick in. It was basically like a limp wiener. It blew the unibushing out, went in about a half an inch, and then the arrow that went into that arrow just, and the knock was touching the ground. I'm like, I can't even claim really a real Robin Hood, even though
it was a millennial Robin Hood. It was the emasculated version.
Oh man, I was just, that bow was just dialed. I mean, I got a lot of my 3Ds are covered in snow, but I was able to get some out. So I was really practicing that 32 to 24 range, which seems to be a pretty common trad shot. And, there's something to be said for a bow spitting them out there at 204 that I can pretty much just aim at the dot on a normal size target and hit the 10 every time.
Damn. Blake's buffering.
I was going to say that you talk about something that's depressing. Those damn iron will field tips will depress your ass sometimes too, because you'll bounce right off the damn target.
Dude, I'm shooting my one bow's 194 feet a second, just at 580 grains. I don't know how many times I've bounced off a bag target, but it's a lot. And 3D targets, you get a new one, you're like, thump, you're like money, and then it falls out, and you're like, is anybody gonna give me the 12 I had?
You didn't lick the suction cup good enough.
Oh yeah.
No,
Like,
it's
do we get to count that?
it's funny because he, obviously he designed those, thinking of, the compound in mind. And I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, I think that he kind of put those in his drag simulator or whatever you want to call it to kind of try and mimic the drag of his broadheads, if that makes sense. But they've got kind of they're like an easy pull field tip. They've got the big round nose on the front. Well, like similar to Aaron, I'm shooting a 600 grain arrow at, I don't know, 175, 180 feet per second or something like that. And brand new Delta McKenzie mule deer I just bought. Every once in a while it'll stick in about a half an inch and just flop down.
Yeah. It's like well, I could give several analogies, but I won't because this is a clean podcast. But it certainly is demasculating. You're like, what the hell?
Trying to talk him into building us a stumper, a Snyder core.
Oh, there you
stumper
go. It doesn't need to be Snyder core.
I need a Snyder core stump head.
Yeah.
So, hey, Aaron, did you do those clinics, those land nav clinics already?
No, they start. I've got one this weekend coming up at Corbin's Archery in Seminole, Texas, and then I have one at Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear in May. I think we're gonna leave. There's a couple more that we're getting on the books. One of the things that was funny with the land nav thing was people were calling and saying, at what level is he going to teach land nav? And they said, well, Aaron said he's going to cover the crawling portion getting into walking. And they were like, well, I'm not coming. I want the advanced. And it doesn't work that way. You can't just go straight to the advanced portion without learning the walk and crawl phase. I'm just learning in the way today's society, everybody just wants that immediate, and you can't do it. You got to learn. You got to start out in the classroom. And I think after this class, I think people will realize that they will learn a lot from the crawl walk portion about land nav. And I think people's concept of what they think they know about land nav a lot of times is quite a bit blown out of proportion, maybe, in the sense of what's actually needed and how to actually read a map. And anyway, I won't go into
I think everybody,
I'm excited about teaching these.
I think a lot of people overestimate their woodsmanship skills. It doesn't just land nav.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Rob, you're a good person to actually say that, for the simple fact that you are what, you probably stereotype or call, like a true woodsman. You go out just to hike, you'll go slit shoot, stump shoot, or, fish or hunt or what, you just like being outdoors. And there is it's kind of a full-time gig when you really want to, and this is my own opinion, if you really want to master woodsmanship and fieldcraft and animal anatomy, animal behavior, weather forecast, when I say weather forecasting, being able to read thermals, all of that stuff, it's pretty hard to read about that and learn. And Barclow kind of stole my saying, but there's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. And wow. A lot of people out there have a lot of knowledge. I'm not going to bring that up, but people I've worked with in the past were gaining knowledge extremely fast without gaining the wisdom from it. And you can pass off to a lot of people that the knowledge portion is actually something they've done, when in reality it's just something they read. That wisdom portion, that's being 8 miles in, doing a loop on a mule deer and blowing it out. You're gaining some valuable wisdom on what you did right and wrong. And you can tell somebody a stove's hot, a kid, but until they touch it, they're probably not going to remember. And then they've graduated from knowledge to wisdom. They knew it was hot because somebody told them, but they really know it's hot now because they touched it and burnt their hand. Yeah. Simplified, obviously, but it gets the point across.
No, you make a good point. And people that have, young families and jobs, and they're really getting after it, nose to the grindstone. It's really hard to gain the experience, because you might have 1 or 2 weeks off a year, And so you're reading and you know, you listen to podcasts or whatever, you're trying to gain that knowledge, but to actually experience it, it's going to take a long time. And, you know, as you, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm a good example of that demographic. I think, you know, I live in the South, and I only get out West, you know, maybe 9-10 days a year, maybe 2 weeks if I'm lucky. And, I've got to rely on a lot of knowledge from you guys, to make it even possible. But with that being said, I try to, I guess I try not to act like I've been there, done that, just because I can regurgitate crap that y'all say. I still have, you know, every time I go out there, no matter how much I learn from y'all, I still learn things on my own. You know what I mean? That I wouldn't have learned listening to a podcast or whatever.
Yeah. And I'm just, I'm like, not giving people an out, but just acknowledging the fact that, you know, 15, 20 years is probably, it might be minimum. If you're going to say like a seasoned guy, like a seasoned woodsman, I mean, you got to spend a lot of time in the hills doing whatever. It's not 5 years, but I don't put myself in that category. I'm just saying it you know, it takes time. It's like saying a good major league catcher is the best in 1 or 2 years. It takes a lot of time, a lot of experience, and there's a shout out for Rick Rona there.
No,
Sure.
I think it's important for people to hear this, for the simple fact that, you know, on some of the different stocks we were recently, you know, doing early, you know, technical stocks, that there was portions of the stock where I would do what would be considered bound and overwatch, you know, in the military, where 1 or 2 man teams bound forward while 1 or 2 man teams lays cover fire. And there are stocks where it is not a horrible idea, if Blaker and I are coming in on an animal, or Rob and I, that I keep eyes on the animal as Blake is low crowing, or Rob. And if he starts to move his head or look back, I can and get you to stop and give that 30 to 45 seconds for that animal to calm down, or maybe hurt something. And you don't just pick that up out of the blue, right? And then when Blake gets 5 to 7 yards ahead of me or Rob, he pops up and I start low crawling, and then I can look at his hands and down low and see that, okay, I need to halt, I got to stop. You know, because the animal may have gotten alert, or it even got up to feed or whatever. You know, those are things that you blow a few animals out, you're going to learn different things like that. You know, I don't ever, I guess what I'm saying is, I always look at the top of the antlers of the animal, or the above the bosses, because I don't want it to see my eyes, and what those horns are doing is telling me everything that I need to know. If he starts twitching or whatever, you can read about that, but actually executing it's a lot different.
You know, as you're saying this, in a world of so much information, and just talking in the bubble of traditional archery and what we do, there's so much information. Do you think that the level of conversation sometimes on hunting, you know, maybe on this podcast or others, do you think like a younger person or a less experienced person is so intimidated that they think they have to? That's a good one. Do they think they have to have more knowledge than they do to just go out there and give it a go?
Maybe sometimes. I try to do a pretty good job when guys ask, and like literally a guy messaged me that, hey, I need to order something, and I told him what to order, and he goes, well, I got time, I'm not leaving until 2022. And I was like, why not 2021? Why not go now? I'm like, do you got the money? Yeah. And I'm like, well, then get out there. Well, I want to do this, that. And I'm like, look, no matter how many questions you ask me over the next, you know, however many months, 18, 20 months, it's never going to be the same as you going out there and just doing it. So you might as well just get out there. And I try to tell guys like that, especially when I do seminars, that do you need Sitka top to bottom? No, you don't. I mean, do your best with the money you got. Do you need a brand new bow? No, you don't need that either. Do you need an iron will or a Rocky Mountain 3-blade or, you know, picket? Nope, you don't need that. Long term, all it does is maybe make you a little more comfortable and a little more efficient, but you can get it done by far. In fact, I've been kind of taunted this year to do all of my hunts with a sub $40 for 3 broadheads to see how it goes. Like that Black Hornet or a Buzz Cut or Picket, whatever, some Phantom from Muzzy. The bottom line is the kill count at the end of the year is probably not going to change. I may have some bent ferrules. I may get a little colder. You know what I mean? I may need a little more snivel gear. May have to pack a little bit extra weight into the field if my gear wasn't as good as it is. But gear only goes so far. Getting out there is really what's going to help you learn and understand and become better. I'll get off.
Yeah, I mean, I wasted quite a few years hemming and hawing around before I actually, just like you said, I think people get intimidated, and I was kind of in that same boat that, it just seemed like a huge deal that to go out west and bite it all off. But, if I had it to do over again, I would have, back when I was in college, just thrown some crap in my truck and, drove up to Colorado and just figured it out. And I think I'd have been a lot better off, at this point if I would have done that.
Yeah, there's nothing you can you can't gain an experience, just getting out there, and you're gonna learn questions you didn't even know you had. Just get out there and have fun.
No, I think that's true. I think it's probably always been this way. You know what I mean? People being, handicapped or not handicapped, afraid to come out. It might have been there wasn't enough info before. Now there might be too much info. Who knows?
So, going back to shoots, you guys got any shoots on your radar? You guys doing any shoots this year?
I'm still
only one I'm
up for debate.
Only one I'm going to is that shoot up there with Aaron and Luke, the best of the best shoot. That's only one I've got notched out. I'm trying to save as much of my vacation time for the fall as I can, and taking the family on a vacation this summer also. So just trying to save up as much time as I can for that. So that kind of goes back to my point of you've kind of got to pick one or the other. Sometimes you can't do both. But no, that shoot last year was a lot of fun, and course is awesome. Good crowd, good crew guys. So I wanted to make sure I made it back up there, and old Wesley Campbell's going to be my partner. So looking forward to that.
You've been checking in with him? Is he training hard?
He's hammering.
He's hammering?
He texted me the other day. I guess he got a new bow or something. He said, "Man, I'm shooting this new bow. Awesome." I said, "Okay, we'll see."
He did get a new bow, courtesy of Snyder.
Is that one of the Snyder sponsorships?
Yeah, that's one of the Snyder sponsorships.
Snyder Pro Staff.
Oh shit! There you go. You got to start taking applications for Snyder Pro Staff. We're gonna put that on our Instagram. Aron Snyder is taking applications.
I know, right? The only problem is I've come to find out some of the people I've put on the Snyder Pro Staff later on in life kind of take that for granted, and it bites me in the butt. Not everyone. There's a lot of people very grateful, but I got to do a better interview process. This is what I'm saying.
That's funny. That's funny. Is Scotty shooting? Is Scotty coming up there to shoot?
Scotty's shooting with Cam Hill.
Yeah.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I want to be in that group.
No, you don't. You want to concentrate on shooting.
That's no kidding.
What about hunts? What do you guys got going on this spring? Blake, Aaron, you guys got any hunts you're looking at, staring in the eye?
Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, obviously, other than turkey, which I killed all of those, the only other hunt is, if you and I go and do a bear hunt, it looks like I I may have to take 2 trips to Idaho, one for bear hunting and one for other business. But I think for me, I've shot a lot of bears, so it's honestly for me, it's just getting out and going to have a cool, kick-ass time in a cool area. I've got a lot of stuff going on this fall and a lot of these seminars this spring and backpacking kind of tutorial, whatever trips we're recording. So, the bear hunt will be good. And then, this fall it'll be balls to the walls from depending upon if Canada opens and all that. I mean, August through, again, probably March from April for guiding with Scotty. So.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I've been turkey hunting twice, I think, since it opened. The first morning I went with Bill and called for him a little bit and got close a couple times. And then the next morning I just went for myself, and it was super windy, just bad weather, and didn't have any luck. Hopefully I can get back out. I haven't shot one with a stickbow yet, and I'd like to kill a turkey, and then from there I'll just hunt hogs when I can. Typically this is the time of year where I hunt hogs pretty hot and heavy, but I just haven't been able to make it out. Just been super busy between work and family stuff that haven't been able to get out and really do any hog hunting or anything. So then I got the mule deer hunt this fall in eastern Colorado. I'm hoping to pick up a Kansas tag also, and I might try and squeeze in a quick antelope hunt in September. Usually my September, I'm up in the high country. This year I don't have anything, so if I'm ever going to do an antelope hunt of any kind, this would be the year to do it. So I'd like to get an antelope also, which doesn't seem like it's going to be very easy. So that might be
good luck with that.
Might be tough.
They're the devil.
I got to get it. I used to go spot and stalk antelope, and I got close a few times, but man, I got to go back. I would love to hunt them in the rut, but that's right during the elk rut, and I got my priorities.
I got lucky last year. I'd sat in a ground blind a bunch, and we didn't put game cameras out, and I ended up hooking up with Danny Ferris. He owns that Ultimate Predator Gear decoy company. Anyway, I went out with him and ended up shooting. Yeah, I was surprised. I've got looking in traditional archery record book wise, that thing scores high, like super high, which I don't, as I say that, I don't score my animal. When I said I always score, so, if it's a good animal, I want to leave roughly what it scores, but I've never technically entered an animal into, anything as far as, Pope and Young or whatever else. I just, not to whatever Pope and Young, the organization, it started off with, obviously that was a way to document, how many animals are taken, the size, and then it kind of turned into a good old boys club to me. And I could be totally off base here, but it turned out to be this massive game of inches. And, you're with people, I nothing more than I hate than somebody apologizing for an animal at, the moment they shoot it, or they post it. And, I'm not as bad as Eichler. That dude's off the chart. He'll shoot a forked horn in the freaking Golden Triangle in Buffalo County, Illinois. But you're out there to shoot shit and eat it, right? Like it's not always about inches, and there's nothing wrong with inches either. It's just, you got to do what makes you happy. And sometimes I think that gets twisted up. Not blaming the Pope and Young for that, but I just kind of always stayed away from that and just hunted for my own reasons and mess with inches too much. Maybe that's because I'm a shitty hunter. I just didn't really want to get affected by that, make it cause my hunt to not be fun.
Yeah. I think it did get out of hand. I don't know where it's at today. I really don't want to pay attention to the trophy thing. Just not on my radar. But it certainly got out of hand, like we were talking about. But it's a tool to say, hey, Blake, Aron, I saw a 150, 160 whitetail, something like that. I mean, it is a tool, and you kill something, I'm going to put a tape to it so that I know. But yeah, it certainly got out of hand.
Yeah, I've never entered anything at all. It's been always just, and I score all my own stuff and my dad's an official measure for Texas Big Game Awards. We always score all our stuff, but it's more of a conversation piece than anything else. It's not really about having your name in a book or anything like that to me. But, circling back to the antelope thing, Aaron, if you were a guy who had, say, 4 days to hunt antelope, maybe you could make a trip out and put some trail cams up. Would you just kind of concentrate on hunting water, ground blind?
Man, if it's a dry year specifically, I definitely would. The thing that's nice, and I don't know if you've got, what kind of land you got or whatever, but you find a water hole, there's nothing else around, you're going to shoot an antelope off of it. Especially you get game cameras up, you're going to have a pretty good idea when they're coming in, and saves a lot of sitting in 115, 20 degree, ground blind. I'm not saying it's impossible to shoot one, on the ground. I just did, but if I had to take a bet of, Aaron, you got 9 days, to shoot an antelope, I would be sitting on water. It's just got to be, everything has to be perfect doing it on the ground, because it's different taking a 40-yard shot at a bedded deer or an elk. With antelope, if generally when you gotten that close, they got a pretty good idea you're there. I shot at one in 2018 that was well within my effective range, and in what I would consider an ethical shot, and it was about 11 feet from my arrow by the time my arrow got there. We watched the video and drew a dot, on the animal to make sure I didn't just shank the shot. Would have double lunged it, and I say 11 feet. It was a body length from it by the time it got there, but where the ground blind, obviously, especially if they haven't hunted that much and it's early, there'll be a lot more calm coming in and be a little twitchy at first, but nothing like stalking on them.
Yeah.
Now, Cameron, my buddy, he's got a horseshoe in his ass. He sat on top of an old windmill last year and shot one off the water hole.
That's right.
So what are your plans, Rob?
So I'm going to take off, I think, next week, right at the end of next week. I'm going to grab my backpack. And my buddy, Strohmeyer, who I generally beat the Spring Hills with, he's tied up this year. And so I think I'm just going to grab my pack and do a little solo trip into the Frank Church here next week for 4 or 5 days. And then Aaron and I kind of got something lined up that if it goes through, it's going to be some country I haven't been in a long time. I'm really looking forward to laying some boot leather down in that country. Then early September might be in a new area in earlier September, which I'm a little apprehensive about. But life throws us curveballs, and we got to just frickin' try to put the bat to the ball. So we'll be getting after that.
So do you get multiple bear tags?
Well, yeah. So down there, I'm not sure if that's a 1 bear or 2 bear unit, but up here is a 2 bear unit. So if I kill one down there, I can still get a tag up here because I do still run my bait station. So I forgot to mention that. I'll be doing some baiting up here.
Just trying to hide it.
What's that?
Just trying to hide the fact that you bait bears.
I did completely forgot. It was like anybody's ever listened to this podcast knows that. Yeah.
You got some catching up to do with a bear, one bear in particular, huh?
Yeah, man. So I've sent you guys pictures of that bear, and he's unique for this area. We're not known for giant bears up here. We have a few, but I was introduced to this guy, I don't know, I could say 6 years ago. And got him on trail camera, and I've got him on trail camera every year, and he's pretty, he's not consistent, but he's consistent for a few days, and it's daylight hours, but he's sharp, and he is a ginormous bear for this country. So this year I'm really going to have to change up my game because he owns me. But if I see that bear, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to shoot him because it just, I've watched him grow from this big, long, tall, lanky, look like a juvenile to, you guys seen the pictures. He has packed the pounds on. He now looks no longer like a wide receiver and more like a tackle or a guard. He's a cool bear.
Yeah, he's got that white patch on his chest too, huh?
Yeah, big V or big triangle, I guess. But it's just his square nose. He's a hell of a bear. and I'm not gonna kill him doing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna have to dig deep into the bag of tricks and come up with something. So it's a chess match. But I always hunt for the biggest, tallest, or biggest horns or whatever. It's my plan when I go out. But I always shoot pretty much the first thing I see. So I'm not much of a trophy hunter.
What's your bag of tricks that you're looking to pull out?
Well, I'm not going to be setting up on the bait. I would love to use a tree saddle, but I sure can't get comfortable in one of those. But I'm going to have to get a light stand. We're going to go in there the minute the snow goes off. We're going to go in there, and I cannot figure out where this bear is coming from. And I've talked to a couple of, I've talked to Tyler about it, a couple of guys that got a lot of experience. I can see this. The wind is very steady in this country. In this area where I'm at that time of year, I can see downwind and pretty much upwind a long ways. That bear at some point I would see him coming to wind me. Never have. And Aaron, I've talked to Aaron, and he kind of mentioned maybe he's just coming in and hitting your back trail. So I gotta look at. I definitely got to look at and maybe getting 80 yards off that bait. And trying to set up on where he's coming in to wind us or wind me. So that's a lot of bear. He's a cool bear for sure.
Aaron, you got anything else figured out on your brown bear hunt?
Not exactly. So I like normal overbooked. And I'm trying to figure out how to go on this mountain goat hunt and then stay up there and then go on the brown bear hunt. And it may just turn out to where I can't do both. And obviously I'm not whining about that. He's going to cry about going on a goat or a brown bear hunt. But the schedule, the way it's working right now, is pretty insane from August 18th, 16th timeframe, whatever, it's all the way through December. And so every year at this time, I think, I can make that. That's enough. And a day and a half downtime's fine. And then 48, 55 days straight, and I'm burning myself at both ends. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have scheduled these hunts so tight. So I'm trying to get better about that.
So goat hunt versus brown bear hunt. You're trying to put the brown bear hunt together. Can you give me a little details? Can you give us some details? What that hunt's like? You hunting a salmon river, or what are you doing?
Yeah. So as it sounds, the goat hunt, I had told a guy, Brady Redderith, that I would go, with him on this mountain goat hunt up in Alaska, and then, the brown bear hunt, you're basically hunting salmon streams, and that's kind of I don't really get to. I mean, I like hunting mountain goats and mule deer, but kind of the one, hunt I've always, wanted to do was the spot and stock brown bear hunt. And I don't want to rush it. I don't, if I'm going to do this, and especially if I can only afford it once, I want to make sure I do it right. So if it works out to where I'm not, I don't want to let Brady down. So if I got to do it next year, then so be it. It's just one of those things that it's not like something someone gets to do many times in their life. So, I want to do it right. And I'm not worried about shooting, talking with the guy. I told him, I'm like, man, I'm not, shooting a recurve and hoping for a 10-footer. I'm like, anything in that 8.5, 9-foot range is going to be more than, I was like, you're the guy will have to hold me down from not shooting an 8.5-foot brown bear. So it's just something I've always wanted to do with the Stickbow. So.
Oh, that sounds awesome, man. I hope you get to do it. That is the ultimate rush.
Yeah, it's just getting, this guy, it wasn't horribly priced. As I said, it was still expensive, but some of these hunts are 28 to 32,000, and I just can't justify doing that right now, especially as Kifaru is growing. We're donating all the money back into growth and everything else. So, it is what it is. But yeah, we'll just see how it plays out. I mean, I'm definitely going to go on one or the other. So,
You know, you just mentioned Kifaru, and I got to tell you, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool thing this weekend. My boy had his striker pack laid out there, and he was putting something together. And my buddy Mike came up, and he had gotten a striker pack earlier this year, man, 6 months ago. He had it last hunting season, and so my kid was all proud, you know, showing him everything about it. And you know, and my buddy Mike said, man, I cannot get over how versatile that pack is. I absolutely love that pack. He said, you guys have knocked it out of the park with that thing. So yeah, see my kid like showing off and telling my buddy everything about this was pretty funny. It's pretty cool. Totally off the rails there.
yeah, that pack's done really, really well for us. And, you know, we're just growing at a rate that, I mean, we knew we were going to grow, but, you know, I can't talk too much numbers, but we were up 189% from the largest February we'd ever had before. That's this growth you really can't quantify for when you're not spending a ton of money on marketing. So it's been good, you know, but we're still getting our, you know, heads wrapped around, you know, different processes, what's going to be the best way to do certain things. And then, you know, we're it looks like we got that building in Wyoming, so it looks like that's going to go through, which we need that space, so that's good.
Cool.
Whereabouts in Wyoming?
The Lander Riverton area.
You got a buddy down in Wyoming, don't you?
Me?
I shouldn't even said that. I was kind of poking the bear there. I'll just let that one ride. We'll talk about it
Wait, are
later.
you talking to me or Blake?
No, you, Aaron.
Oh wait, hold on. I didn't get the joke. Wait, what about a buddy in Wyoming?
I said, you got a buddy in Wyoming, don't you? But I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't poke the bear. We don't need to go down that road.
Well, hold on. Now I'm lost because I don't even know who you're talking about.
We'll talk about it off air.
You weenie.
No, just tell him, Rob.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
Yeah, don't be a weenie. You can edit it out later. Oh, is he in Wyoming?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, I'm not going to bash the guy. I mean, just because he wants to tell everybody at a hunting camp how stupid we are, more power to the guy, man. Yeah, I just read a book recently that, you know, the hell or the heaven that everybody's waiting for is actually the one you've created for yourself right now. I think us three have created a pretty happy place. We're always in a good mood. That gentleman obviously has created a hell, because if the best thing he could do is complain about the three of us through an entire hunting camp, and man, I got no animosity towards him. He's got his own problems, right? I'm just going to keep doing my thing, and you guys will keep doing yours. So I don't have any issues with the guy. I mean, if he wants to do that, that's his prerogative. But you know, it means nothing to me. I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I did find it comical that he would tell anyone he could possibly listen to that we were all stupid. But if you're at that level, it is what it is, right? I mean, Blake's obviously in a good mood. He was shooting naked in his yard, sending me videos, so he's doing good.
I'll have to send it to you. It was pretty funny.
Dude.
It's one of those things. I looked back the next morning and thought, "What in the hell?"
When we talked about this,
lost now. I'm lost now, though. There's some guy talking crap about me in Wyoming, and Rob didn't tell me about it.
No, I can't believe I did this and brought us down this road. Let's talk about you shooting half naked. Aaron, you didn't see it when we were talking about this earlier. He's giving me the throat slash sign, like, shut the hell up.
Well, a friend of mine had a very good saying, and it sounds like this fits right in with Blake. No good story ever starts with a salad. And a salad probably didn't lead Blake into shooting half naked.
It's funny. Yeah. Hey, I made the shot, though.
It was a hell of a shot. Tell everybody what you shot.
Well, we're gonna edit this out.
Why?
This ain't making the podcast.
What?
This is I'm not talking about my half naked drunk escapades in the backyard.
I'm editing
Stickbow
this. The hell we ain't.
This is Gladiators Unleashed material. As a matter of fact, I sent it to him because I knew he would appreciate it.
He'll definitely appreciate. You know how many times I've seen his butt? more than I care to. And I didn't ask.
Alrighty then.
It just shows up.
Just shows up. You open up
I've
the
seen
curtains
some
in
of
the
the-
morning.
I've seen some of Frank's screenshots of their FaceTime meetings.
Yowzer. It got quiet then. So what was the shot?
I was just 20 yards. Me and the old lady had a little bet going, and if I hit the 12 ring at 20 yards, if I missed the 12 ring at 20 yards, she got what she wanted, and it was middle.
It was.
And little did she know it's a Delta McKenzie target, so it's got upper and lower 12s and center 12. And I said very drunkenly at the beginning, I was like, "This is combined," but she didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I said, "This is combined IBO ASA scoring. That'll come into play in a minute. So if I hit any of the 3 of those 12 rings, I was going to hose her."
It was a hell of a shot. But I got to tell you,
It was funny.
Aaron, when I first opened up my messages, I looked at this thing. I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Because it's just a. I thought Blake sent me a video of Tex Krebner.
Fuck you. How about that?
Oh, that he does do a lot of working out and shooting without his shirt on.
It obviously didn't take me long because I saw the tattoo on his back shoulder.
Well,
And
thought
he
you were
didn't
going to
have
say
long
you
hair.
thought it was Cameron Haynes. You fucking dick.
That's funny.
This is good. I can't cut all this out. This is too good.
I'm editing it, you dick.
That's good
It was
stuff.
a funny
man.
video, though.
It was good.
funny. It was not. It was PG-13/rated R, so it won't ever see the light of day.
Oh, I saw it. I'm like, man, I'm putting this on the Instagram right now.
Yeah, what I messaged you back?
I didn't
Said,
see
"I'll
it.
Burn your house down.
I didn't see it.
I will drive to Sandpoint, Idaho, and I will burn your house to the ground."
That's good shit. Well, hey, man, you got anything else you want to tell the masses, Aaron?
No, pay attention. There's the seminar I'm doing is sold out down in Seminole, but the one at Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear, I think there was 30 or 40 spots. I think we'd sold 28, so there's some spots left for that one. And then I did that bow review, so it should be out tomorrow on Kifaru Cast. Yeah, no, other than that, I think the only thing I'd add, and I don't know if you're going to edit out what we were talking about a minute ago, but if you get kind of in a slump and all you're doing is going through social media and talking crap about everyone, and turn that phone off and just focus on getting outside and shooting your bow, and don't get sucked in the wormhole of social media. I'm finding that a lot with guys lately, where I'm like, dude, just shut the phone off or unfollow them or something. Like, you are your own worst enemy, and having good vibes and good people around you all the time will certainly go a long way. Not to get too kumbaya, but if you're one of those guys that, again, just spends an entire hunting camp talking crap about everybody in the traditional archery industry, you probably got some serious problems of your own. It's probably better to be positive and help everyone else than crap on them. So.
No, I agree. Hey, real quick, when is the Tom Klum Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear?
Hold on, I should know that. Let me pull up.
That's why I asked you.
Hold on, it's here. I got it saved. So May 15th and 16th.
Right on. Okay. Cool beans.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, I don't have anything else. I should probably go hang out with my wife. She's leaving to go turkey hunting tomorrow up in South Dakota with Kristen Redderith. So I'm manning the fort until she gets back.
Look
I'm
at
heading
that.
down to give this seminar. So.
Tables are turned. Holy smokes.
Creating a monster.
We have a tendency to do that, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, dude. Hey, appreciate your time, man.
Yep, no problem. You guys take it easy.
Later.
See you, buddy.